The Art of Detachment, and today's transmission and message has to do with detachment. And there's a new collective frequency that we are all experiencing that comes down and plays out as an emotional detachment, but also it expands in every way possible you can imagine. Now, what is that detachment and why do I call it the art of detachment? There are many reasons for that. And I'm gonna start by saying that we have been in the past too invested emotionally, mentally, too attached in many ways. In people, in things, in prosperity, in our spiritual connection, and we have been in that space of holding something too close in our hearts. That makes a whole difference when we actually get into a space of reflecting and what if I lose this or that? These kind of questions will help you go deep on matters that we keep avoiding or we take for granted. By doing this, what you will experience is the questioning of what you hold so close to your heart, how you can change that and keep it in a healthier way, in a more detached way, but at the same time being interconnected with that. Interconnected and attached in a healthy way, that this is part of your reality, part of your timeline, part of who you are, but you won't be holding it too close in a way that will create a disruptive pattern later on. And as you may have observed through a variety of spiritual awakenings, one of the lessons we are undertaking in that process is how to detach and attach in a healthy way. So it comes down to breaking down all these unhealthy attachments we hold very dear or we keep getting obsessed about, so we can change our mindset and the way we interact with the energy. What is unhealthy attached to us, or what we attach in an unhealthy way to that ourselves, it gets ripped apart from us so we can explore a different way of holding that frequency. And this is not that we did something wrong, or this is the wrong way of doing things, or this is a problematic way of working with the energy. It has its pros and cons, as with everything, but the bottom line in that is to actually get into a space and explore yourself, why you hold something very close to you, why you are attached, because that keeps and holds a wound of the past, a fear of losing something. And if nothing else, this accession process has definitely to do with dealing with fears and what you are afraid to lose and why. Personally, to give you an example of that, this summer I was tested in many ways. One of the things that I hold very clear as part of my identity and who I am is, of course, what you are experiencing through this channel. My spirituality, my connection with spirit, my connection with understanding the energy, understanding the human patterns, understanding the human psyche, the human spirit, how it works, and all of these beautiful things. And this is who I am in many ways. I had to lose that part of myself during the summertime for several weeks, if I need to give a time length in that, only to realize that it's okay to lose it. So the way of me being attached to it has changed, and equally to explore other parts of myself with that openness and not being clingy to that identity I hold about myself. Of course, when I got out of that, what I realized as well is that without all of this, the spiritual stuff, my connection, my understanding, it's not me, it's someone else. It's someone else that I don't know of at all. And I don't know why they should exist in this world, okay? So, yes, there is a huge identification of who I am and connectivity with what I'm doing, what I understand, how I perceive the world, literally, the cosmos, the earth, everything. And it goes through this spiritual identity I have figured out the last few years about myself. Now, coming out as well, I realized that there are other parts of me and aspects of me that need to be taken care of. My human everyday aspect. Things I can't be learning without finding an actual purpose or a spiritual purpose in that. For example, I did learn how to make my own nails. Although it sounds very funny, to be honest with you. And I don't mean with regular ways, but semi-permanent thingies and stuff like that. So I had to learn a new way, a new thing actually, a very feminine, we can say, thing. But yeah, not that I'm doing that professionally, or I would like to do that professionally. I'm just doing it for myself. And after my rant, the good thing is that opening up to see what else you can create, how else you can come across for yourself, what else you can change and explore about who you are. It is just that. So whatever you are clingy about, your identity, your personal life, your desires, your dreams, your aspirations, the people that you have around you, that is another thing that we keep exploring through spiritual awakenings, that we constantly lose people, that we constantly reconnect with people under different circumstances, that our mindset, our understanding of its connection changes. We see how each one's personal growth plays a role in the dynamic of these connections, and how we can stay detached from that, and how we can actually navigate that in a different way. So if I take it to the next level of losing connections or recreating a different dynamic between the existing connections, you can lose it all, you can collapse everything, you can rebuild everything, as long as both parties are involved and invested in that space. So, the Art of Detachment. I had this title again for months, not weeks. Usually this is how I stay with the energy, I explore, I understand further, and I'm getting into a space of bringing down with actions in tangible ways what each thing means and why. And this probably is the most important lesson from spiritual awakenings: how to detach and get into a space of a healthy attachment, a secure attachment, in a way that brings energy back to you and not draining you, not asking you to invest a lot more than what you should with your thoughts, with your emotions, and of what you're holding very dear to your heart. So if I had to bring a card forward with this message, it would be the Four of Pentacles, because it keeps playing on my mind's eye and I have to bring it out. The Four of Pentacles, if you see that card, it is a man holding one coin very close to their chest, two on their feet, and one, I think, on the head, the crown chakra. I don't even remember correctly. But this is the whole point of the Art of Detachment: learning how to let things go, learning how to redirect, reconstruct that attachment, if it has been unhealthy, to place it on a healthy basis, on a healthy foundation, because that brings more freedom. And this is the overall purpose behind learning and relearning what healthy attachment is in every aspect of our lives. I talked already about people, about my spiritual identity, so you can understand it applies with everything. Even the things you like purchasing, tangible things, constantly purchasing decks, for example, speaking from experience, but even that holds a message. So let yourself explore how would it feel like if you lost the things that you hold very dear to your heart, because that will give you another layer of who you are in a healthier way, And I mean it. I keep repeating the healthy word, but this is exactly what it is. And in overall, it will give you a whole different level of freedom. When you get detached from the things that you hold so close to your heart, or help you make your choices, your everyday choices, help you find a purpose in doing something, help you whatever you can imagine. It gives you a whole new level of freedom that is needed, and this is what the awakenings are about. For us to detach from things that we have as very, very important, and understanding the actual importance of these things. Because there's no black and white, there's nothing that needs to be held in a huge priority. Everything is you, and your different redirections are guiding you only to see who you are from a different perspective. So if you are looking for freedom, meaning inner freedom, and manifesting outside freedom in many different ways and levels, this is the way to go in. Whatever you find as an attachment in your mind, in your heart space, this is what you have to work and entertain the idea of how it would feel like if you completely lost that thing. It will give you a whole new way of being within yourself. You will, inevitably, you will be facing your fears. You will be getting into a space of understanding what helps you make your decisions and your choices. I hope this helps, and let me know in the comments of how it is experienced by you, if you had been guided to work on these attachments, if you have in the past felt that, let me entertain this, or if something was ripped away from you. In that way, you will be able to reflect on these situations in a different way, from a different eye, from a different perspective actually. And collectively, what is changing, again, lately, from what I have observed at least, has to do with that detachment, emotional detachment, even from the things that would bring us too much joy or excitement or too much sadness or grief even, the whole spectrum of emotions. It gets us into a space of experiencing these emotions in a very detached way. Like, it is our own experience, yes, but there are different levels and layers you can experience the emotions, and there is that neutrality, kind of neutrality, or a neutral way of experiencing joy, a neutral way of experiencing grief. And behind that, there is the thought that yes, everything comes and goes, everything flows, so why should I get more attached to all of these emotions, or the emotions that occur due to different situations that have been happening? I'm calling you with this message and this transmission to actually reflect on how different things play out for you, how attached or detached you are, even when it comes to health, and when you are in that space of exploring and building up on your physical health. How attached are you in that space? And it's not about obsessions, it's about finding the right frequency, the right feeling of getting down and experiencing life in a different way. The less attached we are with something, the better it works. I'm pretty sure you have observed that. We used to say, as spiritualists, let go of the expectations, although my approach was completely the opposite of that. You are meant to be having expectations from the things you are doing, from the actions you are taking. And in that, what is behind as a mindset is the attachment. When you are too attached to the expectation you have, to the things you are investing for creating something, it slips away because you are too obsessive in your energy, too attached emotionally and mentally and you want to make things work. So, in other words, we are going a bit back and ahead at the same time when it comes to these lessons from the spiritual awakenings we have been going through. The art of detachment has to do with how you connect emotionally and mentally with something, even as a result, or a thing you have in your life, a person you have in your life. And it may help you explore the styles of attachment, which mostly have to do with relationship matters, but if you get it in an overall perspective, you will find yourself in one or more of these categories depending the way you invest yourself on something. So do explore that. It will give you more insights about yourself. It will take a bit of reflection and shadow work to understand why these styles of attachment take place in your energy, in your thoughts, in your patterns, and it will help you awaken a different part of who you are. So if nothing else, and if you're not interested in love relationships and romantic matters, it will help you definitely reflect on yourself and understand you on a deeper level, because the more you build up the connection with yourself, the more you are connecting with spirit, the more your spiritual gifts are exponentially expanding. And this is why we are doing this kind of work. You can't be saying that I am connected with spirit when you are completely disconnected from yourself. And you can't be giving the messages and the insights through spirit and channeling in a healthy way, which takes a lot of detachment, in all honesty, without having reflected on yourself. Another thing we are exploring when it comes to detachment as the year of the root chakra 2025, meaning it is about money and financial abundance and prosperity and freedom in many ways. So whatever you are experiencing in that aspect, even downsizing your expenses, it doesn't mean that you are less abundant. What we are learning in that process is how to detach from physical, tangible things that have played a role in our expansion energetically and physically with money and abundance and prosperity, so we can get into a different kind of prosperity. Being prosperous doesn't necessarily mean that we have an abundance of things. It means the feeling we have about the things we have is abundant. I was clearly shown a couple of examples of if when I even had less, I still felt abundant and prosperous in many ways. And that makes a huge difference of how we carry our energy, how we connect with the frequency of prosperity and abundance, and how things can be shifting and have a different meaning for us. Entertain those, play with these energies because they have a meaning, a purpose. And I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Now, if you feel drawn to working with me, there are links on the description box and in the description of this channel that you can visit my website, connect with me through my services and see what we can create for you, how we can expand exponentially, if you ask me, activate those gifts of yours and receive more clarity of where you are, where you were, and where you are headed. All these play a role and they are a system in our energy. I would love to be of service to you and see you on the next transmission. As always, be true to yourself and be your true self. And remember that everything is energy.